exact where I wanted to go because we did have a comment in the chat from Christopher said, "Where is Scott Harris? He doesn't seem to talk too much." And
Mm.
that was kind of my thinking is with Scott Harris how he's been running things. With Abanya struggling for as long as he did, he continued to stick with him. Nick Maton has continued to struggle, but he's stuck with him in the lineup. Is this kind of how Scott Harris is going to do things, or he just doesn't really have any options? And then in terms of like Scott Harris and not really hearing from him, what do you guys kind of make of the job he's done overall?
I mean, maybe I am misremembering things, but I don't particularly remember hearing from Dave Dombrowski or Al Avila all that often either during the season, right? You hear from him around draft time, around trade season. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's one thing as fans we don't hear from him. We also hear that the beat writers basically can't find him, can't talk to him, things like that. But that seems to be his MO. I mean, this is where a different regime. So I don't really know what to make about what he's doing. We know that he's certainly been more active in terms of the scrap heap, if you will, claiming players on waivers. Some of them have worked out pretty well or fairly well, right? Some of them have not. I think Tyler Holton has worked out pretty well. Banez has been, up and down. I wouldn't claim that as a huge success, but he's played. Uh, but we know he's doing that. But I don't know. I mean, I came into the season thinking that that Scott Harris wasn't going to put up with sort of poor performance for very long. And that hasn't really been the case. We've seen a lot of guys playing poorly for extended stretches and they're still there. Maybe that's just the fact that they don't have other options, really. Maybe if Andre Lipsius had been crushing in AAA, they would have tried him instead of Nick Maton, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
Or, if Justin Henry Malloy kept hitting after April, they may have tried him, but he fell off pretty hard. Parker Meadows hasn't done a ton in AAA. It's like all the guys that were kind of, he talked about earmarking playing time for the young guys. Well, none of the young guys have really earned it, unfortunately. So I don't know if, and everybody always says like, oh, well, they can't be any worse than this guy and this guy and this guy. And it's like, well, maybe, but what if they are exactly as bad and then they're young players and their confidence is destroyed and you can never do anything with them. But
That was just my thinking is he just probably doesn't think he has any better options. But that's kind of what we thought is if you would have told me Nick Maton would struggle this bad, Scope has been this bad, Ibanya struggled as bad as he would, but these guys are still getting at bats every day, which kind of just speaks to the depth of the Tigers right now.
Well, they didn't have a very productive offseason, right? And I don't think they tried to.
Yep.
So once that first layer of depth was pierced, okay, I don't know what else they could have done. As Chris was saying, if Andre Lipsius was hitting 320, okay, fine, but he wasn't. So I just don't have a good feeling for him yet. I think we're going to learn so much at this trade deadline of what he values and what kind of deals he can swing. We're going to learn a lot in the first, 3 to 5 to 10, even first 10 rounds of this draft, how they allot their money. Things will start coming together about an impression of Scott Harris because he does make it a mystery. He is a man of mystery. He disappears. I think Dombrowski at least seemed like he was around the batting practice. I think some journalists, I bet, talked to him off the record more. He just seemed like he was in the mix. And from what you hear, Harris is just not there. He's off in a room somewhere. I don't know, but hard to say.
Yeah. No, I mean, that does seem to be the impression so far. I don't know. I mean, there are different styles of leadership, I guess, or running a management, if you will. He may be, think back to the movie Moneyball, right? Where Billy Bean was like, hey, you go fire him. Or, you go tell him he's cut. That sometimes guys need to learn that. Sometimes guys just want to do things from afar. I don't think people are going to like it until the Tigers start winning. If he does it this way and the Tigers win, everybody's going to love it. Nobody will care. Where's Scott Harris? Who cares? They're winning. They're losing right now and people want to see them. But if you're Scott Harris, what do you say? Well, the things I thought for sure we were going to win a bunch of games and now we aren't. And, all the players I got suck. That's not what he's going to say. He's just like, hey, we're doing what we can. We're making one baseball move at a time. We're trying to dominate the strikes. Just all his particular individual cliches are going to come out, and I don't think you're going to get a whole lot from that. I don't know if he's walking through the locker room every day and talking to players. Doesn't sound like it, but who knows? Maybe I'll have to get down there a couple times.